Hi, my name is Christina and you're watching Proud Book Lion, and today I'm doing my wrap-up part 10, which also happens to be my BookTube-A-Thon Wrap-Up. So I'm going to talk about the 7 books that I read in order to complete the BookTube-A-Thon. But I did kind of cheat a bit, but we'll go into that. Stay tuned. So first, let a coin toss decide your first read. So here's one of the times I cheated. I let the coin toss decide my first read, but then I didn't really read it first. The coin toss decided I should read The Wicked Girls by Alex Marwood, and this is a thriller and it's pretty good. I actually really like it because it's about 2 young women, or middle-aged women. They have children, at least one of them do, and another one lives in a weird, almost abusive relationship. It's iffy, if I get to say what I think, but they are actually living with hidden identities because when they were 11, they murdered a 4-year-old. So it's about young killers basically having changed their life in order to become something new, and something is threatening to expose them, and that basically of course isn't something good because then they would be harassed, and especially for the young woman who has children, her children wouldn't be able to live their lives without being associated with what their mother had done. So like, it's just a really cool thriller. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because it's long as well and it's just annoying, and sometimes you just want to get to the freaking point. Like, why are you dragging? So we shift from the present and from when the murder actually happened, and I liked reading about the murder slash accident slash murder. You'll know what I'm talking about if you read it. So yeah, I preferred reading the past, and usually when I prefer reading flashbacks, which isn't really weird because I love history, but it's usually a tendency that I don't love the book. Because if I love a book, I probably love them equally, and I didn't when it came to reading this book. But I still gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The second challenge is read a book about something you want to do. So for that one, I read Queens of Geek by Jen Wild, and this is an own voices book for autism and for bisexuality. And I'm bisexual, and I would really love to be a vlogger or YouTuber, which the main character Charlie is in this one, and she's also an actress. And when I was young, I really wanted to be an actress so badly. I've actually been like what's it called, stand-in?
Meant walk on, please ignore my ignorance, bye bye,
in a very small movie, but this was like very cool in my old days. So like, it's something that I aspired to do like truly passionately, and more like presently, like I physically want to do this, and if I'm able to go, I will go, is to go to a con. I want to go to BookCon again, and this take place during SuperCon. So like, yes, I love going to BookCon, and I would want to go to BookCon again next year if I'm able to. So that's why I read this one, and it definitely fulfilled that challenge without cheating. So whatever, at least I got something right, okay? Then it's my second cheat. So it was the third challenge to read and watch a book to movie adaptation, and for that one I read A Man Called Ove, and I absolutely love this book. You have to read it if you haven't. Like, you don't have to, but I truly loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was such an emotional read, and it's about this old man, and he's very peculiar. He has a habit that's very linked to how he is as a person. When it comes to his values, he reminds me of people that I currently work with, that work at the retirement home, and of my grandfather, and it's just such a sweet and emotional read, and I really truly loved it. And then I didn't watch the movie, which is like another cheat. But I have watched like 10 minutes of it, so I know a bit about the movie, and I really love the actor who's playing Ove. So I'm sure when I get around to watch it, I'll love it just as much. But yeah, this book was so fantastic. I was like so shocked when I read it, and I was so happy. And it was just such a sweet read. I'm just like so overwhelmed and like blessed with it. It's just like, I really love this book, if you haven't noticed. And then it was read a book with green on the cover, and for that one I read Wing Jones. You see there's green on the sneaker or shoe there, and I was pleasantly surprised by this one. First I was going to have it for the beautiful spine, because like, look at that spine, look at those pages. But then I realized the book that I had chosen for green actually didn't have green because I wasn't really paying attention when I was at my library and was kind of stressed. So I chose this one for green instead, and this is about a girl who becomes a runner when her brother actually comes into a coma after accidentally, although whilst being drunk, actually ending his friend's life and hurting one of his friends because he is driving the vehicle that they crashed. So accidentally overnight, this brother that Wing has looked up to and he's loved by an entire school, she's not. She's both Chinese and Ghanaian. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but her grandmothers come from China and Ghana, and she is really beautiful, but it seems like the features that look good together has been given to her brother, and she has gotten the awkward feature, so to say. And she's just really awkward in school, and she's not very liked, and things just become worse when her very beloved brother in the entire school becomes the murderer. So she ends up running because she has this epiphany. She has these magical animals, a Chinese dragon and I believe it's a tiger, and they like guide her to the track field, and she starts running, and it's basically the story about her running and her dealing with everything that's happened, and just like a coming of age story. And I really love coming of age stories. I loved reading about this. I love when the characters that I read about are diverse. I love when there's emotionally gray parts, like how do you deal with a brother who has killed another person and who has hurt his friend very badly, but at the same time he was drunk whilst doing it, and could just have been one of the other friends, and it could have been his girlfriend who was hit instead. And like, how do you deal with his girlfriend, and how do you deal with the school, and how do you deal with living your own life, like a separate life from him. It was just really, really cool, and I really liked it. And yeah, I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars because, like, as always, I have issues with some things, kind of like I don't really like magical elements. I understand, and it helped this book, but yeah, it was a really cool book, and I would definitely recommend if you're interested to pick it up. And then I had read a book while wearing the same hat, or read a book in its entirety while wearing the same hat. So I read Take It Like a Man, and this is in Swedish actually. It's by one of my favorite creators, I'd say. He has music, but I don't listen to his music. I only listen to Lil Peep. But he does a funny podcast with one of his friends, and in this book he talks about what it is like being a man, what are the expectations on you. He talks about sex, he talks about body image, he talks about what's expected of you to like he played soccer for 8 years without ever liking it, because that is what's expected of you to do in Sweden. He also talked about trying to gain weight, because he is like the, you know, the stereotype of the lanky boy with the long hair, and like he can eat whatever he wants to and he doesn't gain weight. So he actually talks about how he struggled with that, because we have the imaginary look of people, especially boys, being muscular, and he doesn't really fit that. He's not thick, he's skinny, and that's not something that many boys want to be. So he talks about that. He talks about sex and how it's not like expected. He talks about porn. He talks about violence. He talks about really important things that I think it's really amazing to see him opening up about not having a lot of boy friends. Like, he's not gay, but he thought it was gay because he didn't like the things that it's stereotypical for heterosexual males to like. It's opening a discussion, and I think it's super duper important. After every chapter he had like 3 questions that you yourself were supposed to answer, and I really enjoyed those. And it was just a really cute, sweet book, and it's not that long, and it's like very interesting read. He has like different statistics, and he has his friend to interview as well. And I just really loved it, and I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars because it was really cool. I would love to have gone more in depth, but like it's a like 130 pages long book, so I mean, I survived with the hat on for like the hour it took to read it, so I'm pretty pleased. And for number 6, A Beautiful Spine, I read Submarine. This is the worst book that I read ever. It's a library book. I didn't ruin it, you don't have to worry. But honestly, it's the worst book that I ever read. It's by John Dunthorne, and I mean, it almost sounds pretty okay. It's about a boy, and his father is going through some mental issues. It's not stated, but I think it's depression. And the boy is going through a lot. I don't think it's ever stated what he's going through, but his parents really want him to seek therapy, so he does, but he actually seeks physiotherapy, like for your body, not for your mind. So his parents are kind of disappointed when they figure that out. He uses a lot of elaborate words, but I find them evasive because you never get to see what he's actually thinking, and they're never really important for the plot. They're just annoying. And this book starts off by saying that pansexuality is when you're attracted to all objects, inanimate and animate, which like really isn't the way to go ever, because pansexuality is a valid sexuality, and it is when you love people regardless of their gender, and it's not when you love a book, and it's not when you love a child, because that isn't a sexuality. Like, those things aren't sexualities, and it's like, wow, on page 2, really? And then it goes on by, I believe, page 8 to mock suicide, and then it goes on to fat shame, then it goes on to accepting bullying and saying that you can't stop bullying unless somebody else stops, which really isn't a good message to send out. It also talks about if you leave schools, things won't get better. The people are fat shaming, but he is realizing that somebody is going through an eating disorder, and he doesn't really do anything about that. Like, that's obviously life. Like, it's just so many issues with this book, and I really don't like it. It has so many issues, and there's so much manipulation, and there's so many jokes on people's expenses, and like mental illness is thrown under the bus, sexualities are thrown under the bus, people's feelings are thrown under the bus. There's so much fat shaming, so much bullying. I really hate this book, and I don't really say that about a lot of books, but honestly, I really truly dislike that book. I thought it was the worst book that I read. I gave it 1 of 5 stars. It was so awful. I'm sorry to say so, but it was so awful. I mean, if you like the movie, I've heard the movie's supposed to be better. Sure. But like, if you've read the book and really liked it, I would love to hear what you enjoy about the book, because I honestly really didn't like it. And if you like it, that's okay. But honestly, I think it's like the worst shit show I've ever read, and I'm able to think that without hurting anybody's feelings. It's just like, wow, I wasn't prepared to read my worst book ever during a BookTube-A-Thon, but oh my god, I just really didn't like that book. I'm sorry, but no. And then lastly, for having read 7 books during 7 days, I read an audiobook. I read Tempests and Slaughter, which actually was the first book that I read, which is why my coin toss didn't really, like, it wasn't my first read, but I did toss a coin and it decided to read, so like, I'm counting it. But I actually read it first just so I could watch the Book Special live show for Tempest and Slaughter. I'll leave that link down below as well. I really enjoyed it. It reminded me of Kirsten White's Anna Rice mixed with like Harry Potter. Sometimes I thought it was too similar to Harry Potter, and I was almost kind of annoyed, but I mean, a lot of books are like that, and other books aren't like that, and I enjoyed it, but I wasn't loving it. I think I gave it 2.5 3 stars, and I don't really understand the magical elements in the book. I don't think the world is fully developed yet, and I know it's a prequel series, so maybe if you've actually read the series that comes after it but has been published before, you would understand more. But like, I was just a tiny bit lost, and I really didn't care for a lot of characters apart from the bird. So I mean, that's not a good thing. But I really cared about the bird, and I thought it was interesting how they brought the plague into it. But that's basically it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm pretty happy. And I'm pretty happy about finishing BookTube-A-Thons, all 7 challenges. Even if I did cheat a bit, just let me live. Thank you very much. But yeah, thank you for watching. Did you participate in BookTube-A-Thon 2018? Did you finish all 7 challenges? Or did you do something else during this week when I was working so much? I'm not even sure how I managed this, because I literally worked 6 out of the 7 days of BookTube-A-Thon. So I mean, I didn't have a lot of reading time, and during the weekend I literally worked 20 hours. So yeah, I'm really impressed with how much I managed to read. I hope that you're satisfied with whatever amount of books, numbers, hours you read. Because if you read a page, that is a page, and if you read 10 books, that's 10 books. All of those things are amazing, and I mean, yes, BookTube-A-Thon is fun, and it's fun to have this little paper, but in all honesty, BookTube is about reading and about the community coming together over our love for books. So just breathe. It's okay to not have one. It's okay to only have read a page. It's okay to have read 2 books or 18 books. As long as you had fun, and as long as you're reading and enjoying your time here, go forth and have fun, because that's what life's about. That's so cheesy, I'm sorry. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a great day / night / whatever part is for you. Bye!